shame on me for saying it's a two-man race and disrespecting Giannis. So then I gave a lot of thought to it today, and I said, you know what? I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Not by saying it was a two-man race instead of a three-man race. Michael, the truth is it's a one-man race. This MVP race is not much of a race when you really, really think about it. I will repeat what I said for those who may have missed it, or I'll repeat it for the cheap seats. You would have to be crazy to look at what Nikola Jokic is doing this season and not easily, without hesitation, without losing sleep, without second-guessing yourself, put him in as your MVP for the second straight season. It should be 1, 2, and 3 on almost every ballot, but if Jokic is not your one, you got to explain to me what I'm missing. Vincent Goodwill, it is so good to see you, my brother. 35 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals against Memphis last night from Nikola Jokic. For the season, some of these thresholds are just mind-boggling. First 2,000 point, 1,000 rebound, 500 assist season ever. We'll touch on that in a second. I know those are somewhat arbitrary thresholds, but just go with it. First player to average 25, 13, and 6 in a season ever, and he's averaging 27, 14, and 8. He's also the first player in the top 10 in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and field goal percentage in the last 50 seasons.
Wow.
In short, Vinny, is it a done deal? And like I said, would it be crazy? Like I said a while back, would it be crazy or even criminal at this point to vote for anybody else?
I would say it's likely that Jokic is a back-to-back MVP. I wouldn't say it's criminal if you decide that, hey, Giannis might be the best player in the game of basketball and he's playing, his best ball on a team that has real championship aspirations. Or you could look at Joel Embiid and say, how do you expect anybody to make chicken soup out of that nonsense that he has over there, getting, buying a lemon and James Harden after getting, a car that never got off the lot and Ben Simmons. Yeah, I said it. What's the problem? Now,
nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
I would hope not. No, but I'm leaning, like I said, I have not done my deep dive. My ballot is due at Sunday at 11:59, and I think I will be going up to 11:58. I will say this. The only thing that gives me pause, especially when going back-to-back MVP, and I'm a big proponent of history, I'm a huge proponent of history and what it means. There's not too many back-to-back MVPs that were not on championship contending teams. And this Denver team is not a championship contender. Hopefully they don't get knocked down the first round. Hopefully it's not a Dirk situation where you receive, well, I guess you can't because the MVP won't be named until like July. But remember in the old days, if you won MVP, you normally got it in the conference finals because you were still playing, which meant you were a championship contender. And if you're not that, how can you say you've had such a profound effect on winning? I always go back to the Karl Malone stuff. You know how I feel about that. Let's not give MVP awards to people who are going to make us look like fools in 2 months. But I will say that Jokic, from the standpoint of performance, from the eye test, from the stats, from the advanced stats, I can't say that I would take it away from him if I chose to give it to Giannis or Embiid, because he's done nothing wrong.
The Nuggets actually have more wins without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. this season, 48, than they had with them last season. I would argue that the lack of them being a championship contender, the difference between them being a championship contender and a lottery team is him, which speaks to his value. Michael, did you have something that you wanted to say on this? Because I was actually going to pivot to a related topic that Vinny just alluded to, but if you have something on MVP, okay, cool. The only reason I reacted that way, you'll love this, Michael. The only reason I reacted that way when you said about James Harden is because that's where I wanted to go next. The least of Joel Embiid's concerns right now is probably MVP, given that I think I read where James Harden in the month of April is 15 for 45 from the floor. Those first 4 games, what I was saying they're the best duo in the league. It feels like a lifetime ago, Michael Holley. But more than anything, they didn't have Matisse Thybulle in Toronto. Right now, that's a 4-5 matchup that if I'm a Sixers fan, I'm dreading right now. They better pray they move up in the standings these last couple of games, because Toronto is for sure that proverbial team in Eastern Conference nobody wants to see, least of all Philadelphia, right, Vinny?
I don't know who Philadelphia wants to see in the first round of the playoffs, unless maybe it's the Bulls, because they beat up on the Bulls. The Bulls have no answer for Joel Embiid, as if anybody else does. But they just look like a team that's teetering right now. And for James Harden to be, in the words of Daryl Morey, the most talented offensive player we've ever seen, he's certainly having a whole lot of problems just 2 years removed from that label. And they're doing a disservice in a second straight year. It is a disservice to the season that Embiid has had. Embiid had what I thought was going to be his best career season last year, where your production matches up, where you play enough games and your body holds up and everything else. And then he came back and had a better year. So I understand his frustration when he's talking about, man, if y'all don't give me MVP, I don't know what else I can do. Maybe get better teammates. Maybe get a few more wins. And the only way you get a few more wins is if James Harden fully commits to being what you need. And I have yet to see James Harden be fully committed. I don't know if he's capable of being fully committed. He lacks a certain burst.
How hurt is he? How hurt is he?
Is he hurt or just old? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. In the load,
the latter usually leads to the former.
Think about it. In the load management era, and this is where I'll give James Harden a lot of credit. In the load management era, he was playing 82 games. He was playing 40 minutes a night, and he was carrying that load, that usage rate, and everything else. Sooner or later, that bill come due, and it does not look like he is ready to pay it. Now, maybe he can pay it in ones, but it doesn't look like he's actually really, really ready to pay that bill, or he's not. Or what happens is, to me, when guys have that first hamstring injury, like a Kevin Johnson, a Magic Johnson, it's really, really hard to get that burst back. You kind of have to change your game, and I don't see James Harden changing his game or treating it with the appropriate fear that he should. It's almost like he's not taking it seriously.
Speaking of that word fear, speaking of that word fear, perfect transition. You've been busy, my friend. Want to play a clip from you and Draymond Green on the Good Word with Goodwill podcast.
If you guys are whole and healthy, is there anybody that you fear? Do you have a respectful fear of Memphis? Do you have a respectful fear of Phoenix? Or is it just a blissful thing because you guys have won championships and you had the sweat equity?
No, you definitely have to have respectful fear. In our organization, Steve Kerr, Coach Kerr called it appropriate fear. And I think it's like you have to have appropriate fear. I don't care who you're playing against. If you don't have the appropriate fear, you're going to lose the game. This is the NBA. Everybody has NBA talent. Everyone has NBA coaches. Everyone has NBA schemes, and anyone can be beat. And so I think you have to have the appropriate fear for everyone. Now, in saying that, we don't fear anyone, regardless of who we match up with, whether that's Memphis, whether that's somewhere down the line, whether that's Phoenix somewhere down the line, whoever we match up with, we don't fear anyone. But if you don't have the appropriate fear, you can forget about it. You will get humbled if you don't have the appropriate fear.
For years, you guys were the team everybody feared at the top, where teams would basically be psyched out of playing you before they even stepped on the floor, and you could probably kind of sense that. Do you feel like that fear of Golden State is gone just because you guys haven't had the continuity on the floor? You're a couple years removed from a championship. Do you feel that fear is still there, or do you feel like you kind of have to reestablish that?
No, I don't. I definitely don't think it's gone because I played the first 33, 34 games of the year. Maybe I missed a couple here and there, but for the most part, I played and I saw that fear. I saw it come right back when everybody's like, "Oh, they're good again. Oh, we got to deal with these guys again." I saw that fear. So I don't necessarily think it's gone. I think teams are able to get by that when you're not healthy. Clay was coming back into the lineup. I left the lineup. I came back into the lineup. Steph left the lineup. And so if you keep running up against a team that don't have all their guys, of course you don't have to fear anything. But when we were rolling at the beginning of the season and on top of Clay coming back, then everyone was terrified.
Right.
I don't doubt we step on the court whole in the playoffs, guys are going to be terrified. I don't doubt that one bit.
Ooh, he said terrified. Klay Thompson had 33 points last night, back-to-back 30-point games. Before I touch past to Michael Holley, Draymond talking about fear. Michael Holley has no respect for anybody else in the NBA playoffs, Vinny, because he is hotter on the Suns than anybody in America right now, Michael. Go ahead, Michael Holley. Take the case.
No, I mean, really, I'll go. So touch pass to me and then assist that leads to the final assist to Vinny. You tell me, fully healthy, Phoenix or Golden State, who you got in that series? Who you got?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And fully healthy, we can't say either side being fully healthy because Chris Paul gets hurt, right? Haven't y'all seen his movies? Y'all know that he gets hurt, especially this time of year, right? Hamstring, hand. Look, lies don't kill who tell it, and neither do the truth. What, you want, look, just because you don't want to believe it, don't make it so, all right?
Oh, I don't have to believe it. I've seen it. You ain't got to say everything, Vinny. That little filter mechanism in your head, use it once in a while. Man been hurt. Man, his has some bad luck. But continue. Keep going. Don't let me interrupt. Keep going.
You sound like my mother, my sister, and some ex-girlfriends telling me to use some filters. Now, if Golden State is healthy, my question is, I don't know if they have the size to deal with Phoenix. Ayton and JaVale McGee, you can throw those two dudes out there and bludgeon Golden State to death. And I don't know if when Steph comes back, how much rhythm he's going to have playing with Klay and with Draymond. I think they played a total of maybe 18 minutes or 11 minutes so far this season. And you can only depend on so much of that sweat equity when there's other guys on the floor that know how to play with you. And those other guys don't. Andrew Wiggins was an all-star, and it looked like all of a sudden he went like Space Jam, like somebody stole his powers in the second half of the season. There's way too many questions. I do like Jordan Poole as a wild card, as a guy who can go out there and get his own shot outside the framework of the offense. And if you're asking me who's it coming down to in terms of coaching, I'm probably going to take Monty Williams over Steve Kerr just because he knows how to push the right buttons and he has the younger pieces. And Phoenix might just be that pissed off enough from last year that it don't matter who they come out with in the Western Conference Finals. They might just beat everybody 4-1 or 4-2.
Ooh, I like it. So the only interesting thing well, not interesting. You said a lot of interesting things. The only thing that's controversial, I would say that you said, is that you would give the coaching edge to Monty over Steve Kerr, and Kerr's got those championships. I know, Klay and Steph and Draymond and Kevin Durant, but that's a pretty big statement for a guy who hasn't won a championship. You give him the edge over Steve Kerr.
Can you bring those championship rings in the room with you on the floor? Does that give you like a little extra with the referees? Does that help you know your team more? It doesn't. Monty Williams knows his team. Even when they've struggled, and it hasn't been very often this season, he's figured out what buttons to push when Devin Booker was slow, when Chris Paul was out. He's been able to weather that a little bit better. And there's no shade to Steve Kerr. We're talking about a guy who was named one of the 15 best coaches or greatest coaches in NBA history, and he's done a lot of great things there. But if you don't have the horses and you don't have the bigs and you don't have the continuity, I'm not sure what any coach can do outside of Ty Lue or Eric Spoelstra, who I think are the two best in-game adjustment coaches in basketball. That's no shade to anybody else. I'm just not sure what anybody could do in that situation outside of those two guys.
Last thing before we let you go for now, because we're going to see more of you later, brother, is Monty hands down your coach of the year?
Man, I went on Twitter because I was talking to some coaches this morning, and they were like, yeah, Monty is the guy, hands down. And I was like, man, is it that easy? And it might very well be that easy. But there's like 7 or 8 guys that I feel like legit have a case. Taylor Jenkins, a guy who we wouldn't know if he popped up with a sign that says Taylor Jenkins because he's that nondescript, has a very good case in Memphis. Eric Spoelstra has a very good case. J.B. Bickerstaff in Cleveland, a very good case. Ty Lue, have you seen what he's done with duct tape and hope with the Clippers? There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. Another guy who nobody likes, Jason Kidd, has done a better job with this Dallas team than Rick Carlisle, a guy who we says can really coach. Ime Udoka in Boston. It's a lot of great candidates out there, but it might be Monty's year because they robbed him last year. I didn't rob him. I voted for him, but they voted for Tibbs because Tibbs.
Hey, there's one thing. I know we're going to break, and we'll see you later. I was wondering, in the time between now and when you come back, can you find? I don't know if you've seen Karn anywhere. Karn Phillips. He's missing. He's missing. He came on. He came on last week. He had the Duke gear on, and hey, I see y'all next week. And Duke over North Carolina, all this stuff. So I don't know if you've seen Scooter anywhere, but
I thought he was in full Shadow Henderson gear with those sunglasses, like he was about to get his own band. You know what I mean? And the band wasn't banding over the weekend. Did y'all not have a great time watching Duke get their asses kicked this weekend? Yes. Was that just not a warm moment for everybody?
Great time.
One shining moment right there. No, it was a phenomenal weekend in general.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.